I'm 83 years old now, and I sit in a house worth more money than most people will see in their lifetime. And every room is empty. Not physically empty, there's furniture, art on the walls, a kitchen most chefs would envy, but empty in the way that matters. I built an empire. That's what they called it in the business magazines. Started with a single storefront when I was 27, turned it into a chain, then a brand, then something people studied in case reports at universities. I employed thousands of people. I shook hands with governors. I had my picture in newspapers. And I did it alone. Not because I had to, because I chose to. I want to tell you how that happened. Not to warn you, exactly. Not to make you feel sorry for me. But because I'm running out of time to say it out loud, and I think maybe someone needs to hear what that choice actually costs. When I was young, I wanted to matter. I grew up without much. My father worked in a factory, came home tired, died tired. My mother stretched every dollar until it screamed. I remember being 12 years old and realizing that nobody outside our neighborhood knew we existed. That we could disappear and the world wouldn't notice. I decided I'd be different. I met a woman when I was 26. Her name was Margaret. She worked in the bookkeeping office at a company I was trying to sell to. She had dark hair and she laughed at something I said that wasn't even funny, just to be kind. We went to dinner. Then another. Then a year passed and we got married at a courthouse because I said we'd have a big wedding later when we had more money. We never did. Margaret wanted children. Not right away, but she talked about it. The way young women do when they're imagining the future. She'd see a kid in a park and smile. She'd mention names she liked. I said yes, we'd have them, but not yet. I was building something. The first store was just starting to turn a profit. I was working 16-hour days. I told her I needed to get a stable first. Stable turned into successful. Successful turned into expanding. Expanding turned into a second location, then a third. Years went by faster than I realized. Margaret stopped bringing it up as much. I thought that meant she understood, that she was on board. But I think now she just got tired of hearing me say soon. By the time I was 35, we had 7 locations. I was on the road constantly, hiring, negotiating, putting out fires. I'd come home and she'd have dinner ready and I'd eat it while going over contracts. She'd tell me about her day and I'd nod, but I wasn't listening. I was thinking about a supplier problem or a lease negotiation. She started spending more time with her sister. I thought that was good. I thought she was happy. When I was 39, she told me she wanted to talk, really talk. She said we never saw each other anymore, that she felt like she was married to a ghost. She said she still wanted a family, but time was running out, and she needed to know if I was ever going to be present for it. I told her I was doing this for us, that everything I built was for our future. I asked her to give me 2 more years, just 2. Then I'd step back, hire managers. We'd take a vacation. We'd start trying for kids. She looked at me for a long time, and she nodded. I don't think she believed me, but she wanted to. Those 2 years became 5. The business kept growing. I opened locations in 3 new states. I was flying twice a week. I missed our anniversary one year because of a board meeting. I said I couldn't reschedule. I could have. I just didn't want to look weak. Margaret stopped asking me about children. I told myself that was fine, that plenty of people didn't have kids and were perfectly happy, that we had a good life, a beautiful home, financial security. What more did we need? She started sleeping in the guest room when I came home late. Said I'd wake her up. I didn't argue. I was usually too tired anyway. When I was 48, she left. No big fight, no screaming. She just sat me down one morning and said she couldn't do it anymore, that she'd spent 20 years waiting for a version of me that was never going to show up. She said she didn't hate me. She just couldn't keep disappearing. I didn't believe her at first. I thought she needed space, that she'd come back. I sent flowers. I called. I promised I'd change. She was kind about it. She always was. But she didn't come back. The divorce was finalized 8 months later. She remarried a few years after that. A teacher, someone who came home at 4 o'clock every day. I heard later that they traveled a lot, that he built her a garden. I told myself I was fine, that I'd dodged a bullet, that now I could really focus. And I did. By the time I was 55, the company was worth more than I'd ever dreamed. I'd been on magazine covers. I gave talks at business schools. People asked for my autograph at conferences. I bought a bigger house. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. Work was always there. Work made sense. Work had clear goals and measurable outcomes. I didn't feel lonely, or maybe I just didn't let myself feel it. My mother died when I was 61. I flew back for the funeral. Saw cousins I hadn't spoken to in decades. They asked what I'd been up to, and I told them about the business. They nodded politely. One of them said, "Must be nice to be so successful." It didn't feel like a compliment. After the service, I was going through my mother's things. There was a box of photographs, pictures of me as a kid, a few from my wedding, and then nothing. No pictures of grandchildren, no family gatherings, just old photos of people who were mostly dead now. I remember sitting on the floor of her bedroom and realizing she'd died, still hoping I'd give her grandkids, and I'd been too busy to even notice. I sold the company when I was 68. Got a number that made headlines. People congratulated me, said I'd earned my retirement, that I could finally relax. I didn't know what that meant. I tried traveling. Went to Europe, Asia. Saw things I'd always said I'd see someday, but I was alone. And being alone in beautiful places just made it worse. I tried volunteering, joined a few boards, but I didn't care about it the way I cared about building something that was mine. I looked up Margaret once, found out she'd passed away 3 years earlier, cancer. Her husband had been with her, so had her stepdaughters. I hadn't even known she was sick. There's a phrase people use, "You can't take it with you." They mean money. But it's more than that. You can't take any of it with you. Not the awards, not the magazine covers, not the respect of people who don't actually know you. I have a net worth that most people can't imagine, and I'd give almost all of it to go back and have dinner with Margaret. A real dinner, where I actually listen. I'd give it to have a son or daughter call me on a Sunday, to have grandchildren who needed me to show up at a recital, but you don't get to go back. That's the part they don't tell you when you're young and hungry and convinced that success is the thing that will make you matter. You think you have time. You think you'll balance it later. You think the people who love you will wait. And some of them do wait. For years. For decades. But they won't wait forever. I'm not saying don't work hard. I'm not saying ambition is bad. I'm saying I know what it looks like on the other side. And it looks like this. A big house. A quiet phone, a calendar with nothing on it. I have a cleaning service that comes twice a week. They're the only people who enter this house regularly. We don't talk much. They're polite. They do their job. They leave. Sometimes I go days without speaking out loud. I thought mattering meant being known, being recognized, leaving a mark on the world. But no one remembers the mark. They remember the person. And only if you let them know you. If you're young and you're building something, and you think you'll make time for the people you love later. I'm telling you, there might not be a later. Not because of tragedy, just because of time. It moves faster than you think, and it doesn't care about your plans. I don't know what happens when I die. Probably a lawyer reads a will to some charities and distant relatives. Maybe they name a scholarship after me. Maybe they don't. But no one will cry. Not really. And that's what I built. An empire. And nothing else.